Hello everyone, my name is Edgar, Forrester Godlieb. My matriculation number is 940701146927. I am from OUM Johor. I'll be presenting about information processing theory today. So in the introduction, assignment objectives and the theory that I've selected. I'll be explaining about the assignment objective and the theory that I've selected. So assignment objective. The assignment objective of this assignment is to develop and present a presentation regarding one theory related to cognitive psychology and learning. I've decided to select and present about information processing theory. So information processing theory is some background info. George Armitage Miller was the first to put forth the idea of theory of information processing. He was one of the original founders of cognition studies in psychology. His studies are based on Edward C. Tolman's sign and latent learning theories, which proposes that learning is an internal and complex process which involves mental processes. Aside from Miller, John William Atkinson and Richard Schifrin are also associated with cognitive information processing theory. This refers to the proposed multi-stage theory of memory, which is one of the leading models of information processing theory. So models of information processing theory, there are various attempts to develop models of information processing. The two most popular are the multi-store model by Atkinson and Schifrin and the working memory model by Baddeley and Hitch. So Atkinson and Schifrin model, I'm not talking about Rowan Atkinson, also known as Mr. Bean. I'm talking about John William Atkinson and Richard Schifrin proposed the multi-store model in 1968 to illustrate their views of human memory. The model shows the three subsections of human memory and how they work together. Baddeley and Hitch work of working memory was proposed back in 1974. They provided an in-depth understanding of the mind and how it processes information. So this is the comparison between the two models. As you can see here, both of them involve input, short sensory memory, and long-term memory here. So in the end, all three of them have one thing in common. One main goal is the input becomes sensory memory, the sensory memory becomes long-term goal. The input becomes sensory memory, the sensory memory becomes long-term memory. So let's talk about the multi-store model. So sensory memory, it holds the information that the mind perceives through various senses such as visual, olfactory, or auditory information. This sense organ often receives a barrage of stimuli at the same time. However, most of it are ignored and forgotten by the mind to prevent getting overwhelmed or overburdened. When sensory information engages and gets the attention of the mind, it is transferred to the short-term memory. So the short-term memory, also known as the working memory, information in short-term memory only lasts about 30 seconds. Cognitive abilities affect how individuals process information in working memory. Additionally, attention and focus on the most important information also play an important role in encoding into the long-term memory. Furthermore, repetition and significantly helps the ability to remember details for a long time. So long-term memory, it is thought that long-term memory has an unlimited amount of space and it can store memories from a long time ago and be retrieved at a later time. Various methods are used to store information in the long-term memory, such as repetition, connecting information, relating to information to meaningful experience or other information, or breaking up the information into smaller chunks. So environmental inputs go through our sensory inputs, which is our nose, our sensory organs, and then it becomes sensory memories. The ones that our mind pay attention to becomes short-term memory, and through repetition and constant maintenance rehearsal, it becomes long-term memory. So the ones that are not paid attention to are forgotten, and if you do not perform maintenance regularly on the short-term memories. Information of the short-term memories is forgotten through decay or displacement. Long-term memories too also can be forgotten through interference or retrieval failure. So sometimes you remember things wrongly, like when I ask you what you ate 2 weeks ago, you won't be able to remember it clearly. It's because some of the retrieval failure that's happening in your mind right now. So let's talk about working memory, the working memory model. So involves a central executive. This is where information processes are regulated. It controls and implements the cognitive processes that encode and retrieve information. The frontal lobe of the brain is thought to house the central executive, as this is where all active decisions are processed. So the phonological loop, it composed of two subcomponents. The phonological loop holds auditory information for a short period of time, articulatory rehearsal processes. It stores information for a longer period of time through rehearsal. So visual spatial sketchpad, it is considered another part of the central executive that holds spatial and visual information. It helps the mind imagine objects and maneuver through the environment. So just like just now, inputs go through our sensory memory, and if it's not, and the things that we don't pay attention to, we don't give focus to, decay, but the things that we focus to go into the central executive. So it's divided into two, the phonological loop and the visual spatial loop. So things that we learn through seeing goes into the visual spatial sketchpad, and things that we learn through hearing goes into the phonological loop, and it's stored in the long-term memory. So this is how the working memory model is based off. Both of the models in the end try to have the same goal: input to long-term memory. So analogy between computers and human is limited. The information processing theory likens the mind to a computer due to the following aspects: combining and connecting new information with stored information reveals new information that can provide solution to various problems. A computer has central processing units, which has limited computing power. Similarly, the central executive in the human has a limited capacity that affects the human attentional system. One of the obvious limitations of this analogy is the capacity for the human brain to store information that is on the order of 108432 bits. That means the capacity of the human memory is excessively better than the computer. So computers nowadays only run on a 64-bit operating system, while the human mind can run on this 108432 bits. So there's a lot of difference between computer and the human mind. This quantity gap between computer and the human brains means that the latter can accommodate processes that the former simply cannot. Also, analogy does not consider motivational and emotional factors that affect human cognition. With this in mind, I hope you all understand about information processing theory, and thank you. Bye.